The first wife of the gunman who killed 26 people at a Texas church is speaking out for the very first time. Tessa Brenneman is her name. She was married to former airman Devin Patrick Kelly for 18 months. Kelly was court-martialed back in 2012 for beating Brenneman and for fracturing the skull of his very young stepson. He was sentenced to 12 months confinement and received a bad conduct discharge. The Air Force failed to submit his criminal history to the FBI, which would have barred him from buying guns. Brenneman talked to Inside Edition correspondent Stephen Fabian about how she lived in fear during her marriage.
He would choke me, punch me, kick me. There would be times where I would be on the floor, curled up, and having to protect my organs because he would be violently kicking me on my side. Like I was less of a person is how it made me feel. I remember I contacted my sister and let her, know what happened. And security forces, which is the equivalent of like the police for the Air Force. He told me, if you do this, if you tell them, I'm gonna kill you and your entire family.
So he threatened to kill you and your whole family?
Yeah.
Did you believe him?
I didn't take it lightly. And he's like, I could just bury you somewhere here in the desert and nobody would ever find you.
Inside Edition anchor Deborah Norville joins us at the table to discuss. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good to have you back. So she was 19 when she got married to him. How old is she now?
She is in her mid-20s.
In her mid-20s? It sounds terrifying the whole time. What did she think when she heard that he was the gunman behind the shooting?
She found out from social media. When she heard about the shooting, she had no idea. And then when she heard it was Devin, she said her vision got blurry. She got shortness of breath. She almost had like a vertigo. She ran to her neighbor's house. She just had to be with someone. She was so stunned by it all. But I think she would probably say, not really surprised when you think long and hard about it, but that initial instant was, oh my goodness, I can't believe it.
Describing that history of violence.
Yes.
The gunman's first wife also told you guys about a frightening argument over a speeding ticket. Let's listen.
Yeah.
And he had a gun in his holster right here, and he took that gun out and he put it to my template. And he told me, do you want to die? Do you want to die? And I knew better not to cry because if I cried, he was the type of person that would beat me until I would stop crying. While he's doing this, I'm like, okay, Devin, it's okay. You don't have to be upset. You're going to regret doing this. And finally got him to stop holding it to my head, and then he put it to his head, and he started crying, and he was like, this is all my fault, it's all my fault. And I'm like, what are you talking about? What's all your fault? And he's like, I'm the one who hurt your son. And I was like so angry when he told me that.
She reported her husband to the police. Does she think that the authorities did enough?
She's furious. It's interesting, that argument that she described pulling the gun was over a speeding ticket. If you do a background check, that speeding ticket and running a stop sign is all you will find on Devin Kelly. However, if you look at his court-martial papers, it goes into great detail about the abuse of the child, the abuse of Tessa. She's furious with the Air Force. She says he should have gotten a longer sentence. At the time he was court-martialed, the Air Force Secretary has apologized that the records were not updated as they should have been. This probably could have been prevented.
She reported, she divorced him, what, 2012?
Correct, yeah.
And when did she hear from him last?
Well, it's interesting. She was in a store and she saw Devin Kelly's current wife. They didn't speak, they simply saw one another. He then reached out to her and said, if you interact with us again, you will live to regret it. Consider this your only and ultimate warning. And this was in March of this year.
Yeah, if you interact with us again, just somebody passed in the store.
She literally passed in the store. They did not exchange words. They didn't even exchange glances. They just noticed each other.
Did she report that?
No, she did not.
So why is she speaking now, do you think, Deborah?
She's speaking out because when you hear her story tonight on Inside Edition, you're going to hear a litany of abuse of her, of the child. She says other women are in this situation. She said someone will hear this story and they will see themselves and they want them to reach out. And she wants them to reach out and get help.
And start
Call
speaking.
the authorities, get in a safe place, get out.
How's her son now?
He's better. He is fully recovered. He has no lasting impacts from the abuse he has suffered.
All right, Deborah Norville, thank you very much.
Thank you.